Most people see Thibaut Courtois as a giant between the goalposts, 6'7", ice cold under pressure, the last line of defense for Real Madrid on the biggest nights in football. A man built to react, to read chaos, to win trophies. But while the football world sleeps, Courtois is quietly building something else. Something far more unexpected. Because away from the Bernabeu, away from Champions League nights and penalty shootouts, Courtois is assembling a racing operation that looks less like a celebrity side project and more like the early stages of a motorsport empire. He doesn't just watch Formula One, he doesn't just play racing games. He owns a junior single-seater team. He's invested millions into esports infrastructure. He's scouting drivers the same way elite clubs scout teenagers. And here's the part that caught everyone off guard. He isn't pretending. When Courtois sits in a simulator, professional F1 drivers don't laugh anymore. They watch the mirrors, the night the paddock took him seriously. The turning point came in 2020 during lockdown, when the world shut down and motorsport went virtual. Formula One launched the virtual Grand Prix series, partly as entertainment, partly as survival. The grid filled with real drivers, sim specialists, and a few celebrities who were expected to be background noise. Thibaut Courtois was not background noise. While other footballers jumped on casually, Courtois arrived with a full professional-grade sim rig worth tens of thousands of dollars, triple screens, high-end pedals, a direct drive wheel, telemetry overlays. He wasn't there to wave to the camera, he was there to race. And then something happened that changed how he was perceived forever. In one of the races, Courtois went wheel-to-wheel with Alex Albon, not defending, not surviving, attacking. He placed the car, judged the braking zone, and completed a clean, confident overtake that made the commentary team pause. Lando Norris laughed in disbelief. George Russell replayed it. Viewers clipped it instantly. This wasn't a goalkeeper pretending to race. This was a racing brain at work. For Courtois, that moment flipped a switch. He later admitted that this was when he realized something crucial. The gap between sim racing and real-world motorsport was no longer theoretical. It was structural. And if you could control that bridge, you could control talent. That's when the takeover began. From pixels to paddocks. Courtois didn't come from motorsport money. He came from football money. And unlike many celebrity investors, he understood one thing immediately. Racing is not about flash. It's about ladders. If you want to reach Formula One, you don't start at Formula One. You start where talent is cheap, unpolished, and invisible. That's why TC Racing was born. In 2023, Courtois partnered with former Formula One driver Roberto Merhi to launch TC Racing, entering the Spanish Formula 4 Championship. On paper, F4 is modest. Small grids, limited budgets, young drivers barely out of karting. In reality, F4 is where careers are decided. This is where raw speed meets professional pressure for the first time. This is where mistakes are expensive. This is where future F1 drivers either break through or disappear. Courtois didn't just fund the team. He immersed himself. He sat in debriefs. He studied onboard footage. He questioned engineers about setup changes. He applied the same obsessive analysis that made him one of the best goalkeepers in football. The goal wasn't trophies. The goal was a pipeline. The sim racing advantage no one else has. What makes Courtois different from traditional team owners is not his money. Plenty of people have money in motorsport. It's his understanding of esports. Most motorsport executives still treat sim racing as marketing. Courtois treats it as scouting. He understands that the next generation of elite drivers is growing up with thousands of hours of racecraft before they ever touch a real car. That's why, in 2025, he launched one of the most ambitious esports projects motorsport has ever seen, a £1.6 million high-performance sim racing hub in the UK. This wasn't a gaming room, this was a laboratory. Motion rigs, professional telemetry systems, coaching staff, driver development programs designed to identify sim racers with elite spatial awareness, race intelligence, and consistency under pressure. Courtois' long-term vision is radical but logical. Find a teenager who dominates online racing. Train them physically. Transition them into real cars early. Control their development before the traditional system prices them out. In his own words, he wants to build the Real Madrid Academy of Motorsport, not just drivers, assets. Why Euro Cup 3 changes everything. For 2026, TC Racing announced a move up to Euro Cup 3, a crucial step above F4 and a recognized gateway toward Formula 3. This is where budgets explode. This is where manufacturer academies start paying attention. This is where mistakes can end careers overnight. Courtois didn't hesitate. Moving into Euro Cup 3 signals something important. TC Racing is no longer a passion project. It's a serious junior operation with ambitions to sit inside the FIA ladder permanently. And this is where Courtois' football background becomes an advantage no one else has. He understands long-term contracts. He understands talent retention. He understands how to protect young prospects from burning out under pressure. Motorsport teams rarely do. In football, development is everything. In racing, it's often sacrificed for short-term results. Courtois is applying one world's logic to another, and that makes him dangerous. The Madrid Grand Prix alignment. Then there's the timing. Formula One arrives in Madrid in 2026. A brand new street circuit, a global spotlight, Spain's capital becoming a permanent fixture on the calendar, and standing at the center of Madrid's sporting identity is Thibaut Courtois. This is not coincidence, this is positioning. Courtois is already a hero at the Bernabeu. He understands branding, he understands narratives, and he understands that Formula One thrives on local faces. When F1 rolls into Madrid, Courtois won't just be a celebrity guest, he'll be a team owner, a stakeholder, a symbol of Spain's next motorsport chapter. Behind the scenes, he's already spoken about expanding further, Formula 2 ownership, GT3 racing once his football career ends, a long-term presence inside the paddock. Yes, the image of a 6'7" goalkeeper squeezing into a GT3 cockpit sounds absurd, but so did the idea of him overtaking Alex Albon on a virtual circuit, until it happened. Why the paddock is paying attention? Formula One has seen celebrity involvement before. Most of it fades quickly. The difference with Courtois is competence. He doesn't chase headlines, he builds infrastructure. He doesn't chase glamour, he invests in development, and most importantly, he understands the system he's trying to enter. Motorsport is full of rich owners who don't understand racing. Courtois is a competitor who understands pressure, preparation, and marginal gains. That combination is rare. He asks engineers the right questions. He listens to drivers. He doesn't pretend to know more than he does, but he learns fast, very fast. People inside the junior categories no longer see him as a novelty. They see him as a serious operator with a long runway and a clear plan. The verdict: Thibaut Courtois is not invading Formula One with noise. He's doing it with structure. He's building vertically. From sim racing to F4, from F4 to Eurocup 3, from junior drivers to future manufacturer seats. He's using football wealth, esports intelligence, and obsessive preparation to challenge a motorsport system that hasn't fundamentally changed in decades. Is he building the smartest junior operation in Europe? Or is this an ultra-expensive experiment driven by obsession? That answer won't come from headlines. It will come from the drivers wearing TC racing suits 5 years from now. Because if even one of them reaches Formula One, the sport will have to admit something uncomfortable. The next great team owner didn't come from racing. He came from a goalmouth, and he brought a completely new playbook with him. What makes this project dangerous, in the competitive sense, is not money alone, but patience. Courtois isn't chasing glamour wins or paddock validation. He's compressing learning curves. Data flows upward, not sideways, with every tier designed to feed the next with brutal efficiency. Drivers aren't just trained to be fast, they're trained to be scalable assets. Mistakes are logged, simulated, stress-tested, and engineered out before they become habits. Where legacy academies rely on tradition, this one relies on feedback loops. Where others scout talent, TC racing is manufacturing readiness. There's no romance in the structure, and that's the point. It treats motorsport less like heritage and more like a modern high-performance industry. The uncomfortable truth is that racing has been slow to professionalize its pipeline. Courtois saw the gap the way elite athletes always do, as an inefficiency begging to be exploited. If the model works, it won't just produce drivers, it will expose how wasteful the old system is. Sponsors won't care where the idea came from once results compound. Teams won't care about pedigree when a fully formed prospect arrives cheaper and smarter. And by then, the question won't be whether Courtois belongs in motorsport, it will be how motorsport let an outsider outthink it so completely. If you enjoyed this breakdown, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments, would you trust a football superstar to build the next F1 champion?